Have you ever felt like someone was trying to control your mind? It sounds like science fiction, right? But what if I told you that for over 2 decades, the CIA ran a top-secret program to do just that? This is the shocking, declassified truth about Project M. In the early 1950s, the Cold War was at its peak. The United States was gripped by paranoia, fearing that communists had developed mind control techniques to use on American prisoners of war. In response, CIA Director Allen Dulles authorized one of the most disturbing projects in American history. The goal was simple, yet terrifying: to master the art of mind control. They wanted to develop drugs and procedures to control human behavior, force confessions, and even create programmed assassins. The agency believed that to defend against these dark arts, they first had to master them. To achieve this, the CIA needed test subjects, and they weren't picky about who they used. The program secretly operated across 80 institutions, including universities, hospitals, and even prisons. They conducted hundreds of experiments on unwitting American and Canadian citizens. These weren't volunteers, they were students, psychiatric patients, prisoners, and everyday people who had no idea they were pawns in a twisted government game. One of the primary tools in their arsenal was a powerful hallucinogen, LSD. The CIA was one of the first major investors in LSD, buying up the world's entire supply in the 1950s. They believed this potent drug could unlock the secrets of the mind, break down an individual's personality, and make them susceptible to suggestion. One infamous part of the project was called Operation Midnight Climax. In cities like New York and San Francisco, the CIA set up brothels, which they called safe houses. These houses were equipped with two-way mirrors, and prostitutes were hired to lure unsuspecting men back. Once there, the men were given cocktails laced with LSD and other drugs. Behind the mirrors, CIA agents would sit and watch, taking notes on the subject's behavior as they were pushed to their psychological limits. The goal was to see if they could get men to spill secrets or follow commands under the influence. These experiments were not only unethical, but also incredibly dangerous, with no regard for the long-term psychological damage inflicted on the victims. But LSD was just the beginning. The MKUltra scientists experimented with a horrifying cocktail of methods. They used hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and physical abuse, and other forms of psychological torture. In some cases, they administered paralytics and electroshock therapy. They were trying to find a way to wipe a person's mind clean, like a blank slate, so they could implant new memories, beliefs, or even a new personality. One of the most extreme techniques was known as psychic driving, developed by Dr. Ewan Cameron in Canada. Patients, many suffering from minor issues like anxieties, were put into drug-induced comas for weeks or even months. While they were unconscious, a continuous loop of audio messages was played to them through headphones, sometimes for days on end. The hope was to erase their existing personalities and rebuild them from scratch. The results were devastating. Many patients suffered permanent brain damage, memory loss, and severe psychological trauma, leaving them worse off than when they arrived. Some were left in a childlike state, unable to function on their own. For 2 decades, MKUltra operated in the deepest shadows, its existence known only to a select few. The project generated thousands of documents detailing its disturbing activities. But in 1973, in the wake of the Watergate scandal, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files to be destroyed. He wanted to erase any trace of the program. It was a race against time, and luckily, he failed. A clerical error meant that a stash of about 20,000 documents was sent to the wrong records center and survived the purge. These surviving files, although heavily redacted, gave investigators a chilling glimpse into the heart of the program. In 1975, the Church Committee, a Senate committee investigating government intelligence abuses, brought MKUltra into the national spotlight. The public was horrified. The hearings revealed the extent of the CIA's illegal and unethical experiments on its own citizens. People who had long suspected something was wrong finally had their fears confirmed. One of the most tragic stories to emerge was that of Frank Olson, a CIA biochemist who was working on the program. In 1953, Olson was secretly dosed with LSD by his own colleagues. 9 days later, he fell to his death from a 13th-story hotel window in New York City. His death was initially ruled a suicide, but for decades, his family fought for the truth. They believed he was murdered because he knew too much and was having second thoughts about the morality of his work. In 1994, his body was exhumed, and a second autopsy suggested his death was more likely a homicide. The full story of what happened to Frank Olson that night remains one of MKUltra's darkest and most enduring mysteries. So, what was the outcome of all this? Did the CIA successfully create a mind-controlled assassin, a real-life Manchurian candidate? The official answer is no. According to the declassified records and congressional reports, the project was ultimately deemed a failure. The techniques were unreliable and unpredictable. Instead of creating controllable agents, they mostly just destroyed people's lives, leaving a trail of psychological wreckage. But here's the unsettling question that lingers. Can we really trust the official story? The most sensitive and potentially successful parts of the program could have been in the documents that were successfully destroyed. Some researchers and conspiracy theorists believe that MKUltra never truly ended, but simply went deeper underground, evolving into more sophisticated, modern forms of psychological manipulation. They point to the rise of social media, targeted advertising, and the spread of misinformation as evidence that the quest to influence and control human thought is far from over. The legacy of MKUltra is a chilling reminder of what can happen when power goes unchecked and national security is used to justify the violation of basic human rights. It forced a national conversation about the ethics of human experimentation and the need for government oversight. The survivors and their families continue to seek justice and answers, but for many, the damage is irreparable. The story serves as a stark warning. We must always remain vigilant against the abuse of power, especially when it's done in the name of safety. The lines between protecting a nation and controlling its people can become dangerously blurred. What do you think? Was MKUltra a complete failure? Or did parts of the program succeed and continue in secret? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one. If you found this dive into declassified history as fascinating as I did, Make sure to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories they don't want you to know. Thanks for watching.
If you love uncovering the truth, don't forget to subscribe. More hidden history is coming every week, only on History Uncovered.